I know this one. It's just a wedding podcast.
Hey guys, today we are thrilled to introduce you to a true powerhouse in the wedding world, Cassie. Cassie's a seasoned wedding professional who lives, eats, and breathes weddings. She's currently the director of events at the iconic Heinz History Center in Pittsburgh, the creative mind behind the mobile bar Clink 92, and just launched her very own planning platform, Forever and More, by Wedding Pro Cass. Driven by her love for her kids and family, Cassie believes in chasing your passion, embracing creativity, and never putting yourself in a box. From post-ceremony glow to fighting back against unnecessary opinions, Cassie is here to share her journey, her heart, and a little wedding wisdom along the way. Now let's dive in.
What's going on, guys? We are back with another episode of It's Just a Wedding podcast. How we doing?
It's just a wedding.
It's just a
Every time.
wedding.
Every time.
We're gonna hire singers to do that, and we're just gonna throw it
You're
in.
going to make a jingle?
Yeah.
Okay.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen. But what is different today is you may notice that we have a newbie on our panel, but little do people know she is not a newbie in the wedding industry. This is Cassie Horrell, and she is a TikTok superpower.
Ooh, superpower.
You heard that right. I'm going to give you some statistics here. How about 46 million likes on her TikTok, nearly 700,000 followers on TikTok alone. That is quite impressive. Nick, what do you think about that?
I think that's what we all aspire to be, right? Good
Well,
job.
I want you to know that we currently have like 223, and it is amazing.
You're rolling along. You'll get there.
So how's it going, Julia? How you doing today?
Pretty good.
Why do you always ask her specifically how she's doing? You don't care how I'm doing?
You got asked
involved.
first. You got asked
Doing
first.
good.
I want to lighten
Feeling
the
good.
atmosphere, get Julia involved. We can kind of hog the mic a bit. It's
Kinda
my
miss
way of
Florida.
breaking the ice with her.
All right, well, thanks for explaining it.
I do miss Florida, though.
Me too. I always miss Florida.
Yeah.
Florida.
Yeah,
You
I just got back.
huh?
Yeah.
Where were you at again?
Siesta Key.
Siesta Key. If I understand correctly, Cassie, didn't you live in Florida for a few years?
I did. I lived in Amelia Island, and I lived in Key Largo. And I love the sun, and I also miss Florida.
That
Well,
reminds me of the Beach Boys song. When
I think Florida is hot as hell, so I do enjoy going there for very short spurts of time, but other than that, I'm happy back in Cleveland, Ohio. So that being said, Cassie, you are the inaugural guest on this show.
I feel honored.
And you're our first guest.
I love that.
So you're setting the bar very high for all future guests.
Yes.
Yeah, honestly, I don't even know how we got you to come here. I was like, there's no way she's going to come, and now
You
you're
guys
here,
gave good vibes.
and it's exciting. So I'm fired up.
Good vibes. Nice.
So, look, we gave them a little bit about the background, right? So, as far as, TikTok superstar, tons of followers, but why don't you kind of start by telling us a little bit about, like, yourself? Like, I know that you drove in here, so you're not even from Cleveland. Where are you from? I know you got a couple kiddos. Walk us through the life that is Cassie.
So I'm from Kent, Ohio, about an hour from Cleveland, not too far.
Can't read, can't write.
Kent State.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Grew up right near Kent State. I went to college at Slippery Rock University. I majored in hospitality and dance. And that path kind of took me down to Florida, where I started in hospitality and then worked in the events industry basically from 2012 till now, just loving weddings and events. And I have gone headfirst into anything that is in relation to weddings, but my husband's been along for the ride. We have 2 kids, Tyson and Benny, and I own a mobile bar. I am the director of events at the History Center in Pittsburgh that does tons and tons of weddings. I am a wedding planner and have my own brand, Forever and More, and I just help tons of people when it comes to virtual assistance. So
I ran out of fingers to count with the stuff that you do.
That's pretty impressive. The fact that, you are someone who I would say lives and breathes events. And on top of that, this following that you've amassed, like, I would say that weddings are like pretty niche. You cover weddings almost exclusively on social media, correct?
yes.
So to have that kind of following in a niche like weddings, to me makes it all the more impressive. So I don't know if you've seen the format of this show, but one of the things that we are always, we try to open up with is a wedding horror story. It's from, some of our experience. We talked a little earlier, Nick dropped the cake. I accidentally told, a whole wedding worth of people to come to the patio for cock and things of that nature. That actually happened. I said cocktail, but the mic cut. But that being said, so we thought with you being our guest and having this nearly 2 decades of experience, you might have a few horror stories of your own. So if you have one on top of mind, we'd love to kind of hear it.
I do. I have several, but I'm going to share a story about a DadZilla.
Make sure it's juicy.
It is
Please.
juicy and it's
DadZilla,
long.
see
It's a
that-
DadZilla.
We don't. We
I've
have not
never-
had a DadZilla story.
Yeah, I've
yet.
never heard
Perfect.
of a DadZilla before.
I have had one DadZilla in my whole lifetime, and he was such a terrible client that he made me want to stop doing weddings.
Oh.
I am not going to share this person's name because he is very big and successful and owns his own store.
Whoa.
But let me just say, he is a person that flaunts his money and flaunts his lifestyle.
Oh.
But when the check comes, is wanting discounts, isn't happy with this or that. So
One of those
Gotcha.
people.
yes, that's like the
Okay.
personality kind of type that I was
Ugh.
dealing with.
Ugh.
Yeah, brutal's right. So at the time, I was maybe 6 or 7 years into my career. I was working at a high-end club, like planning all the weddings for the members. And so obviously the dad, I'm gonna call him Bob for the story. That's not his name, not even
Call him
close.
Bobby.
Sure, Bobby.
Okay.
So Bobby storms into my office one day and is like, my daughter's getting married here. She's grown up here. And I'm like, great, that's amazing. And I dive into kind of helping him plan his daughter's wedding. And the contract goes through the dad because he is the member. So he is technically my client, even though it's his daughter's wedding. And the planning, I thought, okay, the bride and groom are going to join in. I'll get to meet them. Never met
Oh.
them. We're like 6 months from the wedding, never met the couple. I've only been communicating with the dad.
So dad is like
Interesting.
the client.
Dad is the client. Dad is acting like he is the bride. It's his wedding.
That's weird.
We've actually had a Bobby kind of before.
I think I would be a Bobby one day.
No.
What?
But
No.
not
Be a
rude
Bobby.
like
No.
that. Not rude, but just wanting to control as much as I can.
I've
I
had
can see Nick
moms
being a
like
Bobby.
that. Not like
I have had
dads.
parents, but like this was exclusively the dad.
Okay.
Bobby was
That's
just
weird.
like, it was too much. But he felt because I was a young woman that I was inexperienced. So everything that I shared with him, he was like, let me talk to your boss. Let me get clarification on that. Like,
I
did that
hate
really
people like
happen? And
that.
I'm like, I promise I'm going through the exact protocols that you need to plan a wedding here, which there is a lot of red line. There's a lot of guidance that you need to
Yes,
give
of
them
course.
because you're in a private club and there's certain rules you need to follow and certain processes. So we go on with the process and we do a tasting. And our tastings typically took 2 hours, I would say. You tasted tons of food. The garde chef was there, sous chef was there.
I'm a
Can I
woohoo.
pause you for a second? Can you define garde for me, please?
It's like the person that's doing the salads in the first course. So they're like specifically doing like the vegetable
Okay.
type of.
We could probably skip the garde for me, but I got you.
We get a garmage.
No,
Oh
we can get
gosh.
we can get a garmageon, and now we're talking.
There we go. So all the chefs were there. They always attended the tastings. They would bring the food out. This dad took up 5 hours of my day, which is fine. Like,
Wow.
but I'm saying like a normal
That's a
tasting was
lot.
two hours.
Yeah.
This was 5 hours long.
Was Bobby fit, or did he like? to
Bobby
eat?
was not fit.
Okay.
He barely fit in the chair. And he was eating all the food. This is the part that this gets me.
Bobby.
Bobby was eating all of the food, and he was raving about how great the food was.
Yeah.
Every chef that came out, this is delicious. And the chefs would say, like, these are the different flavors. We could play around with sauces. We can play around with temperature, whatever it might be. He is raving about how great the food is. He selects the menu. We are also talking about timeline, floor plan, all these other things. And he's gung-ho about it. Everything's great. The next day, I get an email. Terrible, terrible service, terrible food. Everything is so bad. I need to come back and do another tasting.
I was
After
hungry.
He probably just wants free food.
I was a little thrown off because I'm like, our meeting yesterday went so well. He was very positive in the meeting. So
That's like the guy that goes through McDonald's, like, excuse me, you forgot my McFlurry in the bag, and then he just wants a free
yeah.
McFlurry at the
So
window.
at this point, I'm like, okay, I don't know if he doesn't like me or like what the process is, but my boss is like, he didn't say anything about you. So like, why don't you continue working with him? So I go to a tasting again. And when I get to the tasting the second time, he says, you know what? I want to do temperature side fillets for a 300-person wedding. And I said, temperature side, like you want to get each guest to give how they want their meat cooked? And he's like, yes, that's what I'm doing for my wedding. And I said, well, we don't do that. Like we're doing catering. So like
Yeah.
You get it medium rare or you choose rare, whatever the cook is, and then if certain people want it more, you cook more. He was like, no, I'm doing this. This is what we're doing. So I'm telling him, this is logistically going to be a nightmare. It's going to take 2 to 3 hours for dinner service for this. And he's like, I don't care. I want it done, and I want it done in an hour and a half. Like, you guys should be able to do this. Just like
Maybe I wouldn't be a Bobby.
he is
Christ.
setting
That's
himself up
bad.
for failure. And I am straight up being like, no, we're not doing this. The chef comes out and explains the same exact thing to him. And is like, we can't do this. Like, we're not trying to rain on your parade, but we literally cannot do this. We don't want to underperform. Like, we're trying to be upfront.
It's just a logistics thing. I
Right.
mean, it stands to reason
It's
that
almost
meat,
impossible.
as meat like sits, it continues to cook. So when you're cooking 300 steaks, if it wants to be mid rare, by the time it stands to reason that it's not gonna
Yes.
can't custom.
Yeah.
steaks.
Unless you have like
Right.
a chef at every table with a black
And
stone.
even then,
Yeah.
for 300 people, that's going to be about $1.2 million. Like, it's just not
Yeah.
feasible.
So then I go to like my boss because he sends an email directly to my boss and is like, we're doing this. And my boss is like, I guess we're doing this. Like, we're moving forward. And I'm like, this is a terrible, terrible choice. I do not think we should do this. So then I ask him, if we're trying to speed up service, what do we need to do? And they're like, okay, you need to send him this bill because we're going to have to add all these servers on to try to get it expedited.
Yeah,
We got to add extra
legitimately.
culinarians. I give him the bill and he's like, absolutely not. I'm not paying that. I want it for the other price. And so now he's haggling me on like the price to get things done properly.
Was it a drastic difference in price?
It wasn't like a drastic difference, but like you could tell they added staff on.
Yeah.
Like clearly it's staff. It's not like they were increasing the price of the food. It was merely for the labor to
And
get
that
it done.
wasn't reasonable for
That
him.
was not reasonable for him.
Oh my
Okay.
gosh.
So this guy's just like so crazy. I finally meet the couple like a month before the wedding. And sweetest couple, so laid
Aw.
back, don't care about a thing. And then this dad is just like hounding me every day, like showing up in my office. It got to the
Oh,
point
gosh.
that I had to call my boss anytime he walked in because he would just like bust into my office and sit down and start complaining about things or this or that. Then the other request he had on the wedding day, and I'll never forget this, was they wanted strolling desserts late night. So, we're passing cake pops, we're passing donuts.
That's a veteran move. I like
No, it was
desserts.
cool.
I like that.
It was
Yeah,
very
that's
cool.
cool.
But the one specific request was that on the cake pops, the initials of the couple were painted on there. They ordered 600 cake pops. So I put that on the form. Like I'm very communicative when it comes to like details. So everybody had the information. Comes to the wedding day. He's terrible the whole time. Just like, I feel like I'm walking on eggshells around this man, even though we're doing everything that he's asking. Temperature, side, steak for dinner takes 3 hours. No surprises. We all told him it was going to take 3 hours. He's
Yeah.
pissed.
Did he agree to the new?
No, he would not pay the price.
And so you had to reduce your staff.
Yes,
because
we had
of
to
that.
reduce
So
the
then
staff.
it wasn't
So
gonna
that's why it
work.
was 3
Yeah.
hours.
But we still threw in extra people, though. Like, we weren't charging him, but we're like, we got to make this guy happy. No, he was so pissed the day. He's like, why is this taking so long? During dinner service, he's coming over to me like, why is dinner taking so long? I'm like, because you chose temperature, side, steak, or filet, like exactly what we said not to do. And then it's 12:30, 1 in the morning. The dance floor's hopping, and the cake pops come out, and there's no freaking initials on the cake pops.
Now, did you guys do the cake pops? or-
Yeah, so the catering company that like was in house didn't paint them.
Oh,
And I'm
no.
like, I see them. I see one tray come out and I'm looking closely. I go, turn around right now, go back in the kitchen because I do not want this man snapping at me at 1 in the morning. So then I'm calling all these people like, does anybody have anything I can paint with on the cake pops? Me and this other chef found edible paint. And at 1 in the morning, we're in the back painting on these cake pops. And we send them around. And the dad was like, where were you? I couldn't find you because I wasn't out on the floor for like 30 minutes. And I was like, oh, I was just making a correction to the cake pops. The initials weren't on there, but I wanted to make sure we put out on the floor exactly what you asked for. And he was like, oh, we don't care about the cake pops.
What?
What?
After all of that, he said, we don't care about the cake pops. And I was like, I'm going.
So I have a question. Was this like a general, like our standard, like 6-hour reception? Because it sounds like for a 3-hour dinner, and then you mentioned 1 a.m. Like, are we talking like extended evening here?
It was a longer
Definitely.
reception, but it also waited until sundown to do the ceremony. So it was a Jewish ceremony, so they could not do their ceremony until later in the day. So it went until like
Okay.
2:30 in the morning or 2 in the morning.
Okay.
But when I tell you this man, and then after the wedding, everything, like the couple was so happy. I did their brunch the next day. I was like, I never want to speak to this man again. He wrote me an email after everything we did for him and asked for a discount because it wasn't good enough for him.
What?
And I tell you, like, we did the best that we could with even giving him, like, hey, don't do this, don't do that.
To me, where the mistake was made was when you told him that you couldn't do it, and then when he said you have to have it, and then he didn't want to pay the money. At that point, it should have been like,
Set us up for failure, right?
yeah, absolutely. I could see that is a hell of a wedding horror story, because here's a
Haunts
girl
me.
who loves events,
Right.
who is in events. Obviously, it sounds like a pretty large staff that you're either a part of or in charge of, and you are literally bending over backwards to make Bobby, happy. And at that point, it just seems to me that it didn't matter what you guys did or didn't do.
No.
He was going to be the kind of guy who wanted a refund.
Oh yeah.
All I got to say is, Bobby, I don't care how much money you have. You suck. Do better.
Yeah.
You better
Flat
do
out.
better.
Treat
Yeah.
the staff with respect. Like, he was just
Yeah.
like such a nasty, nasty man. And I still, like, if I think of the worst wedding I ever had to work, even though the wedding itself was stunning, everyone was so happy, he just ruined the whole experience. I'm like,
Aw.
don't be a Bobby.
Do you think, I don't know, did you talk to the brides or the groom? Did they think the father was being a little overboard? Did they have no clue that he was even doing that?
I honestly don't think they cared. They were just like so excited for them to get married that like they were focused.
And you don't
on
want to
that.
put that
I
on.
was gonna say,
No.
good on
Yeah.
you for like not even letting the bride and groom know that this was like a concern.
I mean, sometimes it felt like he was turning it into a business function. Like he would be like, "Oh, my business partners are going to be here, or so and so is going to be here. Like, we really, really got to make sure this looks nice." And I'm like, "Is it a business function to impress people, or is it your daughter's wedding where you're
Right.
Seemed
celebrating?"
like more it was about him rather than
Yes.
anything.
It was the strangest thing.
So I think this is like a really good like section to dovetail into a question here, because obviously with you being basically you're a planner, you're a coordinator, you are like a Swiss Army knife of weddings. So all that being
Oh, I
said, like
that.
there you go, Swiss Army knife. Walk us through a prep day, and what is a secret weapon that you have basically to stay sane amid the chaos like you just described.
So I think my secret weapon is just my temperament. Like, I'm very chill. And so if you are somebody that like gets stressed really easily or does not have good stress management, has a lot of like anxiety when it comes to prepping for large momentous events, then probably the events industry is just not for you.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
you will know within like the first year of working weddings if you can do it or not. Because if it bleeds so much into your personal life that you're like stressed out about certain things like a table number or the weather, you do have to learn how to manage that. Like, that's such a personal thing. But when I'm prepping for any type of wedding, for me, the biggest thing is being organized and communicative with all of the key players that are making the wedding day happen.
What surprises me is like myself and Julia and Nick, we'll sit in on meetings with our clients, and like it amazes me, like we'll sit down and we've got like pretty detailed itineraries on our side of the house, of course on the photo and video side. And I would say more than half the time they almost seem surprised that like we have like a game plan go, like they just think we just wing it, and we're like, this
Yeah.
is the biggest day of your life. You guys are spending a ton of money. Like, there's no winging it. Like, we want to have this plan. Like, our idea is like we want to know what you guys like, what you don't like, what's the vision, and then our job is to make that vision come to life and execute it to the best of our ability. So like I always find that funny. Like, organization and redundancy is the key to weddings. I don't care if you're a planner, a DJ, a photographer. I mean, those two things are of the utmost importance.
So segueing
is.
from that, I do have a question I want to ask you, Cassie. We talked about this briefly in an episode before where we were trying to put a hierarchy on vendors that a bride should book. And there was a slight debate whether it's, obviously we think venue is in a category of its own, but when you're talking about caterers, DJs, photos, florists, all that, where do you think the number one and number two vendors should be? I think a DJ should be very high on that list because a DJ kind of runs that night day of. You're obviously a planner. How do you feel?
Yeah, we don't have a planner's perspective on our panel typically, so that's actually a really good question.
We ask good questions over here.
That is a great question. I call it the core 4 or the core 5, depending what your venue provides. So for me, venue is always first because you do not have a wedding day until you have officially booked your venue.
That's true.
That always comes first. And then your venue is also going to have a lot of red line, like, oh, you can only hire these vendors, or maybe they provide the food and beverage. So venue's always first. I don't really count that in the core 4. Then I lean into photographer, entertainment, So DJ's high on that
You
list.
put the photographer over the entertainment.
It just depends on.
This was a big debate
Okay,
because
so-
Julia's like, you guys need to go fuck off. We're like, DJs are pretty
I think
important.
it depends on what the couple's priorities are. So every couple has different priorities, and for some people, photos and videos are like the number one thing. They want to make sure they have somebody really great, and other people, it's the vibes on the dance floor. So these four are interchangeable, but they're all super important. So entertainment, photographer, videographer, catering, so your food and beverage, and then decor would be the last one for me. Like, I think decor, florist can be last.
I agree with that.
But those are like my core 4, core 5, and it is totally reflective of like the couple's priorities. Because like I said, some couples truly care about the dance floor and what that vibe's going to be, and others are like, oh, we're not a big dancing crowd, so maybe entertainment isn't like top of their list.
So dovetailing on that, I would be very curious about the Pittsburgh market. So, obviously we've been pretty transparent with our audience that we own a DJ, a photo, and a video company. And I think what we found is basically 100% of clients are going to hire a professional DJ or band and/or a professional photographer. In Cleveland, I feel like it's probably like 20 to 30% of our couples, video becomes an absolute must-have versus a, maybe a need-to-have or a budget, contingent kind of thing. What would you say in your market? Like, are you seeing videographers at 100% of weddings, or where do you kind of see that fall?
Videographer, I would say we see about 50%.
Okay.
We have also seen content creators sneaking their way in, which is like
Interesting.
Yeah,
a more cost-effective way of getting wedding videography.
Yeah.
Not as beautifully edited, but you get those raw images in the raw video directly from your content creator. I would say most of the time, if my couples do not have a videographer, they don't want to have a content creator, it's due to budgetary reasons.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I think if it's in someone's budget, they are leaning in the direction of a videographer.
So content creation is something that, we've seen coming down the pipeline. Our companies have actually looked into it a bit. We have not been to the point where we've kind of pulled the trigger and kind of jumped into that market yet. But I was watching another pretty big podcast in the wedding industry called The Vendor Table. I'm not sure if you're familiar.
Yep.
And they were just discussing this, where they said it's getting a little out of hand because, like, it's one thing when the bride, right, like they hire a content creator.
Yeah.
Makes sense. So one of the weddings they did, the bride had a content creator, but the venue hired a content creator for themselves. The DJ hired a content creator for themselves, and the photographer. So there were 4 different content creators on site at this wedding in conjunction with a professional photography team, a professional DJ, and a professional
Sounds like
videographer.
a
That
lot.
seems like a little
Too much.
excessive. But we did have a client recently just come out and like reach out the one day and see if we did do content creation.
So, like, the question becomes, and from a planner's perspective, I'd love it. How much are as wedding vendors is it getting away from we're worried about making this day special for the client versus this is an opportunity for vendors like ourselves to create content which will help us get more clients in the future?
I feel it's a very fine line. I think it's too much when the number one goal of every vendor's day or vendor's job on that day should be making the client's day as perfect and seamless as possible. So when you veer away from that, and like, I know you have to worry about your business and promoting your business, but when you're bringing in a whole nother person to be filming this day,
Right.
it's too much, I think.
Yeah.
It takes away, and like,
Yeah.
I even notice photographers, videographers, they get up close, up and personal, and then if you have another layer of people doing that, you are impacting the guest experience so heavily, and the couple's experience. Like, maybe they don't mind, but it's a lot.
Well,
Yeah.
we talk about, you guys have a dance background, which is funny. So, like, we talk about, like, when we have our staff out of 2 photographers and 2 videographers, it's almost like, in a weird way, like this ballet and, like, how the team moves, and yet they stay out of each other's shot. They try to as least impede the background or of the guests as possible. And, just having 4 people is a lot, let alone extra. And then, like, they even told a story, like, so, like, obviously, like, okay, if you're there as a content creator for the DJ, like, it would make sense that, like, they're there for the reception. Like, they were saying that, like, the DJ's content creator was, like, there in the morning for, like, getting ready stuff. And now
That's
it's like,
weird.
what the hell is a DJ
Right.
company getting ready, footage for, that just seems kind of crazy. So
Yeah.
I was just kind of curious as to what extent you've seen as it pertains to that.
I think it's too much when there's more than one content creator. I think it's fine if like the venue or the DJ, whomever the vendor is, wants to capture a little bit of footage from the background, but you should be never be impacting like the vendors that are hired to be there to capture the wedding day to grab your footage. It's like when that makeup artist stayed and was like recording the whole day. Like you're overstepping your boundary at that point. Like read the room kind of.
Yeah, like that's why I can never like when I'm at weddings, I never have my phone out and I'm doing content because I can't because I'm always photographing the wedding, going around doing details and things. But I know a lot of photographers now, to avoid having that extra content creator, are doing like the weird like stands on their cameras where they can put their phone on and record, or people are buying meta glasses now, especially that's huge in the photo industry. A lot of photographers are doing the meta glasses to do content creation, but they're expensive.
It is getting, technology is playing a humongous role. And, someone like yourself who, you're a mama of two, we discussed that you do TikTok. Like another question that I kind of thought of was, how do you balance a life of making entertaining TikToks, which is huge, but then you also are giving serious planning advice to couples. So like that seems like very much like a yin and yang. So like walk me through the mindset of like how that even happens.
So at first when I started doing my wedding situation series where I'm kind of playing out these scenarios that have either personally happened to me or they've been submitted to me.
By the way, do you have acting training?
I don't have acting.
Because it's really like I don't know how you do that. Like it's pretty funny. Like you throw on, I'm guessing like your husband's hat.
I guess in dance, like you're.
Oh yeah, yeah. You
playing
always have
parts.
to act.
I am
on
not
the
shy behind the
stage.
camera. I guess that's what I'll say. I don't mind. And I grew up like making funny videos with my friends and like just being silly. So like for
like
me, this is kind of a dream come true that people are like watching this and they find it entertaining. But those series I started doing after I had kind of established my page a little bit. Like I maybe had a following of 30, 40,000 people. And then I started doing the series and I realized that like it could bring a different level of entertainment value. But I also, within the series, were able to teach some sort of lesson or sprinkle in an explanation about something in a wedding. So I try to take every scenario and there be like teaching somebody like, oh, you could do a private first dance during the cocktail hour, even though it's a very dramatic situation. Like I'm talking about that and someone might be like, oh, I've never heard of that. Or my grandma's going to be the flower girl and that's like part of the situation that's happening. So I do think of it in that. And I also try to use language that you could respond if you're in a situation where you have family members that are being overstepping boundaries, or you might find yourself in a situation where you're like, I didn't invite that person, how should I respond? And they might watch my video and be like, oh, that's like a crazy scenario, but it's similar to what's happening in my life.
Yeah.
Well, it's really funny that you said that, because one of the notes that myself and Nick and shout out ChatGPT made is that you have like the most hilarious like mother-in-law drama kind of stuff like that you kind of go through. And one of the questions that I had as it pertains to that is there a moment where you've ever actually had to advocate to a couple that's in a tough family situation, like actually tell them like, hey, this is not right, or this is not normal, and this is what should be going on?
Yes, frequently. It happens a lot. I don't want to say the couple's name, but recently I had a couple that I worked with for a very long time. They were amazing. They were very aware of the situation that they were in with their family members, and I always offer my support. Like I can be a buffer. I can step in wherever you feel is appropriate. I never want to insert myself into family situations, but I do feel it's very important when you're planning with someone that we're aware of the dynamic or whatever might be going on. So for me, it's more offering support and being like a vent for them. Like they can vent to me, or the bride might say, hey, this has been going on with the groom's family, or the groom might say, this has been going on with the bride's family. And then I can either act as support, or if they need me to step in, I 100% feel comfortable doing that.
I feel like a lot of that tension comes from different expectations of the family. Maybe it's cultural differences. A lot of times it's financial differences. And if I recall correctly on one of our episodes, and would you agree that maybe a solution is trying to find middle ground to make everybody happy? Would you say that's a fair assumption?
Yeah, like finding compromise, and if there's two opposing points, which in a lot of times in wedding there is, you're working through that to find something that works for the whole group or everyone that's included in the planning process.
Is there a time where you have maybe one member of the marriage whose family might be like quite affluent, and then the other member of the family might be a bit more of a modest income, and then do you ever see that kind of playing out as a tough situation between bride and groom?
All the time. Not as much when I am brought into the planning process early on and I can help establish the budget and I'm part of those discussions. But sometimes I'm brought on 6 months out or 3 months out, and I'm kind of jumping into a scenario where they have already talked about finances and it maybe wasn't done the proper way. So
Okay.
you're kind of backpedaling or addressing certain things and cutting things or adding things on to kind of please different people that are in the planning process. So yes, frequently that happens, especially if you don't establish who's paying for what or who's contributing to what, and if there are strings attached to any of the monetary contributions.
That makes
Okay.
sense.
And the
Yeah.
reason why I think we're jumping around a little bit is because, we've got this awesome opportunity to pick, another wedding professional's brain here in a little bit of a different atmosphere than where we normally are. And we want to make sure that, like, couples that are, dealing with these things right now, that I think it's good for them to hear that, like, other brides and grooms are going through it, and these are solutions, or these are at least ways to cope with those scenarios. And I just think it's a good thing to let them know, hey, you're not the first person that's gone through this, and it's going to be okay, and all that good stuff. I mean, literally, our show's called "It's Just a Wedding" because, like, we tell people, like, it's a big day, it's a lot of money, but, like, it's just a wedding. It'll be
Like,
You're
all right.
hiring the
Yeah.
professionals. Trust in the professionals, and your wedding will turn out great.
Yes.
So one of the things that we did, where I wanted to have some fun, because obviously, at least the way we found you is through this unbelievable TikTok page and following that you made. So what we did is in this podcast, we do a lot of games like thumbs up, thumbs down, red flag, green flag. So what we did is we went and we made a bunch of different thumbs up, thumbs down options that we are basing off of your current TikTok. So I figured what I would do is I would pose, one of these synopsis to our team, and then the three of us will vote by saying thumbs up or thumbs down, and then Cassie can come in and say whether she disagrees or agrees and why.
I like this. Let's go.
Okay.
And then
gonna
if I'm tied in the middle, can I explain both
Yes.
reasons?
You can.
Okay.
I've been there.
Going down, Julia. You're going down.
Every time.
Julia and Nick have a little rivalry going because Julia usually kicks Nick's ass inside out in these games. So.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
All right. So number one, again, these are based on Cassie's TikTok. Hiring a wedding planner is a non-negotiable.
All right.
And I realize that you're a wedding planner, so this is tough for me
I'm
to
coming in. I'm coming in here, but I have to explain why.
Okay.
If it's in the budget, then yes, you should be hiring a planner that is
I
non-negotiable.
agree with that.
Because if it's in the budget and you can afford it, it's just going to release so much stress, and it's going to help guide a lot of the vendor communication. It just helps with the overall experience for the couple themselves.
That's true.
If you do not have it in the budget, and you're DIY couple or low budget and you're making your own wedding, it's not. You just need to plan properly. You're going to have to take a lot of your own time and effort and make a plan so that the day of you are facing little to no stress.
Yes.
And a little pro tip, if you stick with us to the end of the episode, I think Cassie may have an option coming to you for those brides who maybe right now it's not in the budget, so stay
Right.
tuned, because I think that's going to be a really good opportunity.
I think a good alternative, instead of having, let's say, the wedding planner is not in your budget, maybe at least have a day of coordinator. Would you think that's a good substitution?
I think a day of
Yeah.
coordinator, if you have like a venue coordinator that you can lean on, it's mainly to make sure you're not veering very far off the timeline, because
Yeah.
the timeline is so extremely important. And then also when it comes to setting up or breaking down, that things are happening properly and getting completed based on your contract needs.
So let me ask you this then. Are there any apps that a bride, besides the platform you're building, is there any apps that a bride can use to manage all of these different vendors, manage timelines, anything like that?
I mean, there definitely are apps out there. I don't know specific names, but I know like Not in the Wedding Wire have resources. Budget Savvy Bride has resources. There's tons of people out there that have resources. I'm not sure like specific apps, but there's definitely things that you can lean on to help guide you in that process. I think the biggest thing on a wedding day is like having someone physically there, keeping an eye on it.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you don't want to put that on a family member or a guest.
Right.
So having the venue staff, if you have a venue manager, or hiring a day of coordinator relieves that from having to give it to somebody else.
All right, I'm going to do another one. I think we're going to all be on the same page here, I hope. But you must feed your vendors a hot meal.
Nice.
Agreed.
I always say it doesn't have to be what the guests are eating. If sometimes they're having like filet and sea bass, and that's just like not something. But a hot, substantial meal is what I always
Yes.
say.
Sea bass, wow.
Yeah.
Chilean sea bass I had the other day. Really good.
Yum.
You know, it's funny because, yeah, like I tell my clients, like honestly, like we would be stoked with like a pizza. It's just like when people give you this like wrap that's soggy and wet, and you're just like, this is just
I've had a soggy pizza. It was bad.
at a wedding.
Yeah, it was horrible. I don't think anyone ate it. I went down and had like little scraps from cocktail hour because
Listen,
I was not eating
You could
soggy
give me a
pizza.
peanut butter and jelly and a cup of milk, and I'll be quite happy.
And I know a lot of vendors, like, they're like you. They're like, we'll eat what we want. But I always remind my clients, like, look at your contracts. Like, most of the time it's written in there what type of meal and how many meals they need. And then you also have to logistically think, when are you feeding them?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
a lot of people will be like, oh, we're not going to feed them until after dinner's over. But the party's starting and there's formalities happening. So, like, technically you should be feeding your vendors when you are eating, because do you want a bunch of pictures of yourself eating?
No.
No.
Segue question off that. Vendors should get fed directly after the head table. Yes or no?
It depends on the food style service. So sometimes you're in doing stations or buffet, and maybe the caterer is bringing food directly to you, or maybe you have to wait until VIPs and wedding party get through the line and they're having you go through the line. Every caterer is so different, but it is important that you eat pretty much around the same time the couple's eating.
Yeah.
Couple, immediate family, VIPs first, but definitely not vendors the last to get served.
No.
I think that's a nightmare logistically for us
Yes,
working
especially
the wedding.
if they are giving you like a plated hot meal. Then you're given like 10 minutes to eat. And they're like, oh, well,
Right.
they had a 30-minute break. Yeah, well, they were sitting there for 20 minutes and then had to eat a whole plate of food in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, that's not comfortable for
Right.
anybody.
I've been
So-
there before.
Yeah, we've all had to shove
Yeah.
food down. our-
Happens.
Honestly, it's for me. I can make it work.
I'm like,
It's hard. I'm not a fast eater.
yeah, you did say you were a
Yeah.
fat eater.
So this next one I thought was really weird, but it comes with the second half will be a very brief story that I have. What do we think about planning your wedding before you're engaged? Is that weird?
I'm cool with that.
Okay, I have
Are
to
we
say I'm
answering
in
if
the.
it's weird?
I
or
think
if
I'm in the
it's-
middle. I'm in the middle.
Basically,
Is it-
like, is
are
it a
you-
good idea to do?
I think I'm in the middle on that one because I feel like a lot of women, especially, have envisions of how they want their wedding to be, and then they're always kind of like looking at venues that have the idea,
My wedding's already planned out.
looking things out, and then once they get engaged, they like want to finalize it. So I think they all have like a slight envision
All right,
of what
so,
they want to do.
Let me preface and then we'll discuss. This is true.
Uh huh.
After COVID, I had a mother come into our office, sweet lady, we'll call her Betsy, and she came in and she knew that her daughter wanted a fall wedding date. So let's just say it was 2021. She put a deposit down with us for an October Saturday in 2022, so probably about 12 to 14 months out. Daughter was not yet engaged. She was assuming that daughter would become engaged over the next few months, and she wanted to make sure that a fall date was locked up for daughter.
Okay, something like that I would say no to.
That's ballsy because like
That's
it don't
ballsy.
work
It is
out. We're not paying that deposit back. You know what I mean? Like
That's ballsy.
I
Yeah.
am on the fence of no. I think that the planning process, it should be collaborative between both parties. And if just one person's like putting deposits down and booking things because they think they're going to get engaged, then I'm like,
Yeah.
you never know. You never know. I don't know.
Well, I
would
definitely think you should wait until you're at least engaged before you
Right.
start putting pen on paper, signing
Yeah.
contracts, and paying
Yes.
money.
But I
But
think you
I don't think it's wrong to visualize
Oh, no.
what you want your wedding
Yeah.
to be. 'cause
I think
yeah.
I already know my wedding's going to be.
I
I'm
I think
Okay.
that's what a lot of people do. They have an envision and they
Yeah.
like do some research before the engagement happens because they're just like looking around beforehand. But I think signing it or having the date finalized or like going around and hiring the vendors already before the engagement happened, that's a no. That's
Yeah,
like
no
crazy.
John
agree.
Hancocks until it's official.
Agreed.
so, we'll do a couple more, and then we're gonna get to Nick's segment that he's all fired up about over there, the no touch
Always.
given. So this one, John and I talk about this a lot because this has happened at one wedding, which no names please, but it was not, in my opinion, a great move. What about having two tiers of guest list? You have the tier one who gets to sit down for a meal, and then tier two, like, hey, you're welcome to come at 8 o'clock for the cocktails and party. We've seen this a couple
That's
times.
brutal.
I think it's terrible, but
That's
I have
horrible.
seen it. I've seen it in the wild in Cleveland.
John think that's
That's
okay?
horrible.
No, he thought it was terrible.
Okay.
No, that's
I have
terrible.
to
That's
say,
terrible.
in other countries, it's the norm.
Really?
Really?
So I believe
Wow.
it's, I don't want to say the wrong country, but I think it's Ireland, and there's like some other places that this is the norm. They're
Sounds like
called
some shit they would
they're
do there.
called evening guests. So you might be invited to just the ceremony. Then there's the dinner party. So a lot of people are like ceremony, dinner party, and they stay for the evening party. And then there's some people that are just the evening party. So once the dinner is done, they come back for like dessert, drinking, dancing. So you're only there
Oh.
for like the fun part.
I guess I could understand why people would do that to separate, important family versus friends or that third tier. It's interesting. I'd be interested to know what countries actually do
I
that.
think in America it's not the norm.
I was gonna
Yeah,
say,
no,
clearly,
not in
this
America.
was just a very, very
Interesting wedding.
interesting wedding. Yeah,
I know
yeah.
there's certain weddings where they'll have like a certain amount of family at the ceremony and then a bigger amount get invited to the reception, but I've never had like you can't come till like after dinner.
I
That's
mean, it was
weird.
brutal. It was a brutal thing because then people were coming like a little early. They were like the evening guests, and then I think they then realized that they like weren't on the guest list for
Yeah.
dinner, and it
Yikes.
got like
Yeah.
it got really uncomfortable. And then the DJ was like, "Whoa!"
If I was invited to the wedding and I opened my invitation, it says, "Congrats, you're a tier 2 guest."
Well, it didn't say a tier 2 guest. It just
Garbage.
said start
Yeah, they
time was
probably
8
didn't know.
o'clock. But like they
Oh.
then realized when they showed up that like
That's-
people were actually there at 6 o'clock eating dinner.
So they didn't even know that was
No,
happening.
they just thought the start time was a
Oh,
later
oh,
start.
that's bad.
Yeah, I don't think that's definitely not the norm here. So I do feel that it's not a good choice but if it's the right choice for you and your partner and like for budgetary reasons that's what you're going with, then I think you just need to be clear with your guests that like they're invited to the evening reception and it's not a sit down dinner. They're not getting dinner. Sometimes if the expectations are off, I think that can make it more awkward, which it seems in this situation it was.
So
Yeah.
last one, and then along the same lines, it's got another funny story involved. So we had a client come in, I guess now it's probably around 2019, and good-looking black dude, pretty ripped, but like an older guy, right? And he came in and had this
Fedora?
like, no fedora.
Oh my gosh.
This guy had like a really young, like what I would consider to be like a dime on his arm, and I was like, this is really weird. But like they had cash. I'm like, cool, let's sit down and talk. So we're talking the entire thing through, and at the end of the event, this guy goes, "Do you know who I am?" And I'm like, "I have no clue who you are." He goes, "When I leave here, Google me." So now I'm thinking, like, was this like a Browns player? Was it like a
Yeah,
you know,
like
some,
who is this?
I have no idea. So we look him up. Shout out Ricky Jackson. Love this man. Awesome guy. Turns out, sadly, but I'm happy it worked out well, he was the longest. He was incarcerated the longest in United States history on death row
Oh.
for a murder that he did not commit. And through the Innocence Project, he actually got out of jail. And because of that, Ricky Jackson was awarded like $3 million in reparations.
Damn.
And he got himself a young girl, and he threw the wedding of the century for
I
himself.
love that for
That's
him.
baller.
It was so awesome. But where I'm going with this is it ever okay to uninvite people last minute? Now, you're a planner. This man had the craziest group of people. It was awesome. It was like senators and priests and like his bros from back home and everything
dang.
in between. And it turns out that he just invited like everyone he knew and didn't take into account that like there was like a limitation on
Venue
the
capacity limit.
and his planner 2 days before his wedding had to call about 150 people and uninvite them to this wedding.
What a banger if you have
crap.
to call 150 people.
It was
Some people's weddings aren't even 150.
So
wow.
the question is it ever okay to uninvite people last minute?
Wow, I don't even know what to say to that. That is so
I-
gangster. This guy.
It was an awesome
This scenario is like throwing me.
and this is all
Wow.
true, and Ricky Jackson is awesome. I believe he bought a house out in Chardon.
Maybe we need him on the podcast. This
Yeah,
guy's
he
a
could be a- he
G.
could be
I
a
love
guest.
It'd be fun.
Ricky, this guy was awesome.
Oh, man.
You got to see his video. We did his video, dude.
I'm going to go thumbs up on that. It's your wedding. You got to do what you got to do.
I think I'm gonna.
If you're
go-
150 people over your guest list, there's no.
I was gonna say
negotiating that.
logistically, I feel like you would have to if the
Well,
venue was
I mean,
saying like
that's what
you can't-
happened. But what also is G about this wedding, he rented all 3 floors of the Science Center,
Wow.
which was awesome because it was so baller. And then one of the most hilarious things, and I give his bride so much fucking credit. So the way she was coming down was she was coming down 3 sets of escalators to come down the aisle, like to the ceremony spot, and another girl wore white to her wedding. No. This bride would not come down the escalator until that bitch got out of the room.
There you go.
It was awesome.
Don't wear white to a wedding.
Both of them.
I don't blame her.
It was so awesome.
I don't blame her for that.
It was so awesome. Yeah.
Every woman knows not to wear white to a wedding unless you're the bride.
Right.
So that was pretty wild too. That actually was almost going to be on my wedding horror story one of these times. But yeah, that was awesome. She was like, she refused to start the ceremony. She's like, nope, not coming down till that woman is not in this room.
Good.
Thumbs up on my book.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome. Well, Nicholas, it is now time for.
Before we get into it, I need all 4 of us on the count of 3 to go like this. Okay, ready?
Not going to happen.
1, 2, 3.
Not happening.
No tucks given. Make sure you time that up well, Scott.
I'm not doing that.
So, this is a segment, I'll explain it to you and I'll explain it to all the new viewers at home. This is the no tucks given segment where typically we like to speak to the grooms because historically in weddings, we're always marketing and we're always talking to the bride. We're communicating with the bride. We're coordinating with her. It's usually bride focused. And with the No Tucks Given segment, we feel here on the It's Just a Wedding podcast that we can shine some light on the grooms and make them feel more involved in the process. Now, in recent episodes and all of our past episodes, we have given examples as to how grooms can enjoy their day more. They can do certain things, or we've given them a lot of things. Way we're going to differ on this episode is we want to define what the groom is and how the groom can step up in the wedding without stepping on toes. Okay? So to kick things off here, I want to talk about what the groom traditionally gets wrong in the planning process. So if there's something you could share, a lot of times is, the stereotypical things of the groom is the I don't care mentality where whatever she wants, it's her wedding, it's her day, as long as she's happy, I'm happy. So that's a stereotypical one. Is there anything that you can think of that grooms typically get wrong?
So I agree. I call that the silent groom when they just don't want to participate. They just kind of push all of the planning expectations onto their partner. The other thing that I think the groom sometimes does not do a great job with is communicating with their wedding party what has been decided on. So a lot of times, the bride might say, okay, I'm going to communicate to my girls that we're meeting at 10 a.m. Can you let your guys know we're meeting for rehearsal at 10 a.m.? And then he doesn't send the text.
Right.
He doesn't relay the information that people need so that they're not delaying anything on wedding day or the day before the wedding.
Yeah.
One of the reasons, I'm sorry, Julia, that we even kind of started this No Tucks Given segment. So we had read an article, I don't know if it was The Knot or Wedding Wire or one of those publications where it talked about the top 10 wedding regrets that brides and grooms have. And believe it or not, number 1 was not having spent more time together in the planning process. And I'm that just speaks to the guy just saying I don't give a shit. And it's dude, it's your wedding, and even intrinsically, if you don't, you should want to give a shit because you know that your partner is going to love that you did give a shit. You know what I mean?
Also, from a photographer's perspective, most of the time for getting ready and stuff, it's the grooms and the groomsmen that are running behind or push back the whole itinerary because they're not ready because they spend time doing whatever, thinking that they're fine, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh shoot, we got to get ready. Oh no, we have to clean up the hotel room. We don't have it for the rest of the day. And then everybody else is waiting for them because usually the bridesmaids and the bride are usually time. And the guy's usually we're fine.
Yeah, the guy typically chillax, shows up, case of beer, partying.
Video games,
so that's all fine and dandy. We're guys. That's what we want to do. But we need to keep in the back of our mind that, being uninvolved doesn't add to it. It actually adds more stress to the bride. So to all the fellas, the homies, and the guys at home, take that into account. Try to step up a little bit more. But we don't want to overstep. We'll get into that in a second. And check out some of our previous episodes if you want some other ideas as to how grooms can get involved. Now, let's segue into what are some of the areas that grooms can step up to the plate, but at the same time, we don't want them to overstep on the plan or the bride or some of the important factors. So what are some things that you think a groom can do to help his bride out a little bit?
So one of the first things I do with all of my clients, specifically if I'm working with them from the very beginning, is asking both of them to write down what they want at their wedding.
Great idea.
Separately. So the
Oh, I like
bride's going to
that.
write down, I want to have lots of my family and friends. Yeah, literally physically write it out. It could be on your phone, but on a piece of paper, whatever. The groom do the same thing. And then have the two share. Because sometimes what one person wants is not even close to what the other person wants. And if they never asked or never wrote it down to, bring up whatever feelings they're having about their wedding,
Right.
one person's going to get in the car and drive it one certain direction, and the other person's just along for the
I
ride.
think that's good.
She is
true.
spitting
I like
just
that.
straight facts right now.
Heat.
That's a really good
yeah, this is
idea.
good.
So to me, it's whenever that initial spark, whenever you guys are ready to start planning, that you do it together, and it's not just one person being like, hey, me and my mom are going to see venues, and then you don't really get a say because you weren't participating from the beginning.
Well, and I think what's worse is like where I will say like shame on my brethren is like when you don't care and you don't get a say, but then on the back end you bitch about it. It's like,
Yeah.
come on, bro,
Yeah.
you could have been in those meetings. And then I will dovetail that into, again, I sit in many, DJ meetings. I've seen many a meeting where a guy either comes to our office or is on a Zoom call, and they're there because they feel like they need to be or because they were told to be, and you could tell that they could not care less about what's being said or going on during that call.
Well, that gives me an interesting question. What parts of the process, and I'm asking all of you guys, could a groom handle? What could he take ownership in to relieve stress from his bride? I like to think that a groom can help with obviously managing the groomsmen, like you mentioned, maybe inputting in the music taste. But what other things do you think the groom could step into to help out his bride?
So any of the vendor categories are going to be important. So if you're doing music is a very popular one where the groom seems to be involved. They usually have feelings about if they want a band or a DJ and what type of music.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's a great one. Catering is another huge one. So if there is a flavor palette or you have a tasting, like making sure that both people are in attendance and it's not just the bride doing something like that, that will be an easy area where you can participate and give feedback without like making all the decisions alone. Venue, I also think is important. For me, that's going to be something that you remember your big day. It's going to be in all of your pictures. It's going
Yes.
to impact your experience, your guest experience. So to me, being a part of the venue selection is also very, very important, and not leaving that to your partner, because that's probably one of the most stressful
Agreed.
things is like picking the venue.
Yeah.
And if you do put all that stress on your partner, like, I don't know.
And then I think, like, I don't know how many guys actually specifically care about, like, oh, the photographer, like, the actual style. But I do think, like, we've talked about in the past, like, maybe having a say in, like, hey, I'm really into sports, and I would like to get some downtown urban photos near a stadium. Or, hey, I'm more of an outdoorsman, so I would love to get me and a couple of buddies with a fishing pole and a rod. Just some things like that where I think, like, just basically having an opinion to give your significant other, I think is going to just sing to their heart. You know what I mean? Just saying that you're involved.
And I want to emphasize why it's important that a groom should do this. Number one, it's going to make your bride happier. She's going to feel like you're a little more involved in the process. She's going to be like, oh, he cares. It's going to make her super happy. But it's also going to make your day more enjoyable as the groom. It could feel like a chore to some people if they have to, oh, I got to do this certain pose and I got to do this and this. But now you have something to look forward to if you're doing a buddy shoot with a fishing pole or something like that. So I think it's important that we, give the groom his time.
I also feel that if only one partner is giving their opinion or picking all the vendors, the day is truly reflective of one person. But your wedding day is supposed to be a reflection of your love story, and is supposed to sprinkle little parts of your love story. And if only one person is telling the story, you're not getting the full vision. So
Yeah.
if you aren't participating, then your day isn't really reflective of you as much. And I think that is important from start to finish to be participating.
Yeah.
And to Nick's point, I don't think like we are sitting here trying to like rag on guys. We're
It's
just
not always the grooms. It isn't.
I mean,
But
like,
most of the time it falls in that
Yes.
category.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't matter if we're talking about like your traditional marriage or a same-sex marriage. I mean, there's going to be all different types of groupings, but really, it's just at the end of the day, regardless of who, it's just about like, step up because it's the right thing to do, but also step up because it's a good thing to do for yourself as well. So it's not, you should want to do something because it makes your partner happy. That's great. But also, as you've mentioned, like it is your day too, so it should be in some way reflective of your taste and things that you like as well.
Yeah, and much like everything that we talk about on this podcast, it's always about finding the common ground and finding a middle ground with everybody. Don't overstep and don't step on toes, but do what you can to step up. Now, are there any examples, Cassie, that you could share with our viewers at home of a groom who crushed it, who just he did his job, he played his role, he maybe added a little extra flair, and he was just a great groom?
Yes, I have had grooms like this that are just so very excited for the process, which you don't see that excitement a lot, but I have had grooms like that where, you know, they have stepped up and been like, let me book the DJ. This is the attire I want. Like, they have a vision for what they want on their day, which a lot of times the brides, you know, they are talking about their dress, what they want to wear. But I had it opposite, where like the groom was just totally in it, and the bride was a little bit more reserved when it came to that. And I've also had the reverse, where I didn't even meet the groom until the rehearsal, and you're like, oh,
That's a big no.
like, does he want to get married? Of course, like their wedding day was beautiful, but literally not in any calls, not on any emails, not seeing them. But I've also had grooms that are very thoughtful when it comes to gift giving. If you're like exchanging gifts, where I've just seen like things that are very personal to the couples, or like handwriting vows, and you know, to me, that's like very intimate for a couple to share personal vows, or to write a love letter to each other, or think about each other on the wedding day in a different than just, you know, exchanging rings and doing the ceremony. So I think when grooms, you can tell that they put time and effort into it. I mean, I don't know if it was just them and somebody helped them, but you could tell that they were prepared, they were ready, and they are present on their wedding day. That's another thing. I've had grooms that put their phone up to watch the game. I'm not saying that's the wrong thing to do, but like at your wedding, you shouldn't be on your phone. You know, you should be like, you're getting married.
We're in the red zone right now, babe. Like,
I mean, I'm telling you, like,
What a touchdown.
I've seen it, and I'm just like, oh, that's not a choice I would make, but whatever. And then you see the opposite when people are just like so in the moment, so in love, and you can tell they're like at their most joyous, happiest moment so far in their life, and I think that's wonderful.
Is there anything, Scott or Julia, that you have seen? Now, you guys would have varying opinions because you're a DJ and an owner, you're a photographer. Any grooms that have crushed it?
So there's been a couple of times. So, you know, you mentioned like love letters, or like, so we've been fortunate enough over the years that there's been a couple of guys who were like very talented musicians. And there's been once or twice where a guy like got out a guitar, and like not only did he like sing, but I mean, he just sang beautiful. And I mean, it's like taking an already special moment and like just it's like on steroids.
That's a good touch.
It was really, really cool. So that was one that kind of came to mind. And then another one, I wish it was our wedding, but one of my good buddies in the industry, Selective Sound, JR, had a wedding down at the Cleveland Courthouse. And the couple was dancing to Mark Wills, who's like a big country artist. And nobody in the wedding knew, including the bride. And the song started to play, and then the song cut off. And then the real Mark Wills came out from behind the curtain and then sang the rest of the song at the wedding, which that was something that happened like many years ago, and it went like super viral on YouTube. It was like a huge thing, but that was like one of the like that's like stepping up to like another level. Like that was pretty cool. Yeah.
I've seen like a lot of like the handwritten letters, like the gift giving. One that was like really neat is where they got a song made for the other to show and play during the first look, where they waited and they like wrote a song. They had someone else like sing it and record it, but they wrote it out, and it was a love story about them. And
Are you talking about the December wedding last year?
Yes.
That was super cute.
That was
they had
cute.
like this. There's like some company that will like you give them a bunch of facts and they'll like make you like a custom song. It was cute as hell.
I see ads for that sometimes.
And they waited for like the perfect moment to like walk up, and it was beautiful. So that's mainly what I usually see, or like cutesy little like gift giving. Usually the reading of private letters to each other, like vows somewhere off. Usually with the first look or first touch. But that's mainly what I see.
So, guys, we're doing what we can here. We're giving you ideas. We're giving you guys the information. So.
Yeah, and ladies, if you've gotten this far and your groom's not sitting right next to you, press pause, go grab him, and grab a beer. Come back, rewind this 5 or 10 minutes, and then get him involved. And I guarantee you after this, he'll be a little more in the process.
Can I give you one more tip for the guys?
Yeah.
Okay, so this doesn't deal with the wedding, but it deals if your partner is going on a bachelorette. Write a love letter, like a little letter to your partner, and send it with the maid of honor. and also make a little basket. Maybe you send flowers to where the bachelorette is, like just something personal.
That's
so
cool.
when she's there celebrating with her friends, that she has that like reminder of.
When I was getting married,
Sweet.
Jill and her friends, I forget exactly. I think they went to like, I don't know where the hell they went. Maybe like to Put in Bay or something. But I made a mixtape for the ladies so they can
That's so
listen
cool.
to it as they rode out.
Really?
Yeah,
Little reminder,
absolutely.
like, this is why
I
we're
made a
celebrating.
mixtape. It was
I love
Boys to
that.
Men.
Would you have like Pony on there?
It was like Boys to Men, like on bended knee. Like, dude, it was.
That's cool.
It was
That's
a
cool.
fucking vibe.
I
It
think
was.
I think that's a cute idea. I love that.
I like that
Honestly,
idea.
I've had
I-
one groom that sent pizza like late night to the girls. I had one that just like
Aw.
bought bottles of champagne when they went out for brunch. Like you can coordinate with the maid of honor and like have a little special moment
is
while
so
she's away on the
sweet.
That's an awesome guys.
That's good. I was gonna ask you for one more piece of advice
pro
too. So
tip
you
number
just
two.
beat me to it.
You
that
spit 2 gems here. That was beautiful.
Now, before we wrap it up, I'm going to drag this on a little bit more, and I know you told me not to, but I love this segment, and she's spitting out dimes.
We're okay, and we've got some time. She's got 2 kiddos, and I want to make sure we have some time to talk about some of the cool stuff that she's got
All right.
coming up. So
Rapid fire this last segment, okay? This is going to be red flag, green flag, and you could either do thumbs up or thumbs down, but I labeled it red flag, green flag because you have thumbs up, thumbs down. Now, if the groom asks for a list of things he takes off the bride's plate, is that a try hard or is he being a team player?
team player.
team player.
I agree. Now, what happens when the groom skips venue walkthroughs or venue meetings? Is that careless or is he just being clueless?
brutal. I think reason matters,
Yeah,
right? Like
reason does
if
matter.
you're
Is it
like
for
Yeah.
if you're working and like then it's like okay, but like if you're just like, but like, babe, like
The game's on.
yeah, it's golf Tuesday or like
It's time
some
to play
shit,
the
like,
box with the boys.
in general, that gets a thumb down unless it
Yeah.
needs to be otherwise.
Cool. We're on the same
Agreed.
page there. Coordinates with the photographer for a surprise shoot. Is that cute or is that cringe?
That's cute. That's cute. I've had some where I met with the.
She's like,
No, I've had some
Oh my-
meetings with only the grooms to talk about the photo itinerary, where the bride never talked to me once, and it was only the groom.
fellas, that's
He was
cute.
cool.
Okay. Think of some cool shit. Groom picks groomsmen based upon who can throw the best party. Is that a disaster or has he got his priorities straight?
Oh man.
Scott and I are like, well,
I'm saying
Who's
no.
invited to the bachelor party and who's in the wedding party is like 2 different things. I feel like you can invite extra people to party.
picking groomsmen
Mm-hmm.
based
So actually
upon,
picking the wedding party
based
on
upon who
party
throws the
fest?
best party.
I would say no.
I would say no.
Scott and I are like,
They should be your closest buddies. Like they should have meaning. Yeah.
I keep my circle tight, so I'm gonna say no, but I can see the allure to it.
play devil's advocate. I'm going to just throw a thumbs up in there. You guys are, you know.
That's how he's gonna pick his groups.
So I wanted to throw a middle ground in there because some of those were a little obvious left and right. What if the groom plans a surprise honeymoon without telling the bride? Is that a sweet and cute gesture, or is that risky business?
I think that's sweet and cute.
My wife would have hated that. for
I would.
sure.
I would think it's cute, but if it,
See, that's so
Okay,
middle
It
ground.
depends,
you
it
know?
depends on the couple.
you have to know your soon-to-be wife, like very, like
Well, I would
you
hope
have
if
to
you're
know.
marrying that person, you know.
You have to
Yes,
know
indeed,
like
wife.
what they're gonna like, what they're not gonna like.
Right.
So like if they don't ever want to go to like Italy, don't go there.
Right.
But like, do you want like one of your first major decisions as a married couple to be something that wasn't collaborative and it's just like, babe, like it's like the guy who's like, she'll have the salad.
I'd be fine. No, not with
Ordering
that.
her the
Not with
cheeseburger.
that. I mean, I would be fine if it's like a cute little surprise honeymoon. I'd be like, oh, and it's like a place that I would like to go to. I wouldn't mind it.
Julie, you're gonna be the easiest wife ever. Like, and I mean that in like such a good way. But you're just like, oh my god, like
No,
It is thoughtful, but you have to be smart.
Yeah,
So-
that's true. You got to be smart.
I'm the type of guy when I'm dating a girl. Now I am single. When I date a girl and we go through talking stages or whatever,
every episode he slides in at least once. that
Hey,
he's
everyone, he's single.
well, I'm gonna have a lot of eyes on me for this one. I need to let everybody know. So when I date a girl, in your iPhone on the contacts, you could take notes about a person. So whenever I date a girl, just as we're talking, I'm always writing down notes about the girl. It'll be simple stuff like her Chipotle order, her Taco Bell
That's
order.
cringe as fuck.
That's
by the
kind
way.
of creepy.
I think that's fucking G, because then you pull up one day, like, here's your Chipotle.
if
Ladies,
I would,
remember he's single.
if I,
So what if you take a note? It's like, she's like, oh man, like one day when you're talking, like, oh, I'd love to go to like Bali. It's my favorite place to go. Oh, I'd love to go to Thailand. And then you just surprise her with that Thailand trip. I think that's G.
think that
I think that's G.
I went on a date with a guy, and let's just say we end up starting like dating, and like 3 weeks in, I found out he's been taking notes, and his notes about me on every date. I would be creeped out. I'd be like, I'd be like
every
this.
day
I'd be
now,
like,
okay?
I
You're
would be
making
like,
that
this
sound
guy's gonna
weird.
murder me in my sleep. I gotta
That sounds
go.
weird. It's like, okay, she likes Chipotle.
You're writing down like her favorite thing.
Yeah, I'm writing her favorite
You're
foods
being-
and shit. Like,
Is it like you make
I'm
a
a
mental note and
chivalrous-
write it down later, or are you like at the table like she like?
No, mental
no,
note,
mental note. I'm chivalrous, okay?
I was
so
thinking real in your
I'm
phone.
chivalrous.
It being helpful and it paying off if you're with a girl and you want to surprise her, do something sweet, then
Yeah.
100%.
When Nick talks, I'm looking at
I
our
would-
team off camera, who's shaking their heads. He's chivalrous,
I'm extremely chivalrous.
single, chivalrous,
All right. That's enough of that, okay?
very single.
Fellas at home, no tucks given every single episode. Make sure you tune in and you can learn all about how to overstep or how to step up without overstepping.
You got it.
No stepping on toes.
All right, now before we wrap things up, we got a little bit of time here, and again, Cassie, we want to say thank you that you came all the way in from Pittsburgh. You did not have to do that. All you gained from it was a mediocre lunch that I bought.
Whoa,
Great
whoa.
lunch and great conversation.
TH, Town Hall.
Yeah,
It's,
well, we're not going to shout them out right now for the legal reasons, but it was good food. So we really appreciate it. But other than the obvious of that you're a fun person, you're bubbly, you're a rock star on social media, you really do have a lot of really cool things going on. So we mentioned it really quickly at the beginning, but I really would like you to spend a few minutes doing like 3 things for me. So I want you to plug, obviously 3/4 of a million people already know who you are, but make sure that you hit your socials, where they can find you. Honestly, guys, all kidding aside, the content is fucking hilarious. Like my wife, we've been married for 13 years, and now she's actually watching some of your stuff just because she thinks it's funny. So check her out. But you do have this really cool mobile bar, but maybe the biggest thing is that you're getting ready to launch this subscription-based concept. So, walk us through some of these fun things. I know we're going to have questions, but make sure people can know what's going on and where they can find information. So.
Okay, you can find me at Wedding Procast literally anywhere on the internet. On all socials, it's all at Wedding Procast. There are a lot of spam pages out there, so if it doesn't say at Wedding Procast, it's not me.
They spam you?
Oh, I have like...
Really?
That's G.
she's famous.
I've had to, I'm not kidding, I've had to report over 60 accounts. of
Really?
People just like stealing my content, and
Wow.
then they'll like write over like what I had on there. They'll make like...
Will they like
edits on top of
repost it?
Yeah, they repost it. Like,
Oh
people
my
have thousands of
gosh.
followers on these fake accounts. I'm not verified on TikTok. There's...
Well, couldn't that be a good thing, though, to like...
I take it as flattery for sure, but then I do get people that will message me and be like, "Hey, I'm really confused," and I'm like, "I don't know. I post all my videos in order, so like,
twisting your
Yeah.
words and stuff.
well, they don't take any of my actual videos where I'm sharing knowledge, because the main thing on my page is I'm trying to help people like plan their wedding.
Yeah.
But I have a lot of people that take the scenarios and the situations and they just post them, I think, to try to monetize my content, which sucks really badly. But it is one of those things where I'm like, I'm putting myself out there on the internet. I know this is like a repercussion of
Yeah.
that. So
Have you ever had people like copy your stories and try to reenact your story and like
You're going to see me
trying to
like,
make it as theirs?
yeah.
there are people out there that will like literally take my storyline and change it, but then at the end of the day, I just remind myself it's a form of flattery, and if they are not creative enough to come up with their own content, they have to use mine. Like, it is what it is.
Hey, no Cass.
I come out with it first. You can look at the timestamps. I'm never like, that concerned.
Wow.
And then there also is a lot of content creators out there in the wedding scene that do similar content as me, and we might come out with a similar story. And some of our followers, we have like a lot of the same followers, they'll like tag us and be like, "Did you see so-and-so stole your story?" But that other person that gets tagged a lot, her name's Krista. She's really great. There's another person.
out,
that also,
Krista.
Yeah, she's great. A lot of times it's just because a lot of the same scenarios happen to all different kinds of people, and
Yeah.
they just write the story in, and we just happen to be telling a similar type of story at the same time.
Interesting.
So that's another thing where I'm like, people aren't stealing content. It's just like the original idea they're coming up with is similar to mine.
Gotcha.
So I also deal with that, where it's normal, like...
Unfortunately for me, nobody wants to be me on the internet, so I'm safe right now. So.
But other things that are coming up. So one thing I'm really excited about is I wrote a children's book
Get out.
to help people ask their little people, so their flower girl or ring bearer, to be in the wedding.
Oh,
See, we did not get that earlier. That is cute.
that's
So-
clever.
But before you go on, I understand that you had a very special illustrator.
Yes, so my flower girl, she has been illustrating parts. There's going to be like a little I Spy coloring hunt at the end. And so that's like combined in with the book. So I'm hoping that this will go out in August. I'm hoping everything will be
Are
fine.
you
Wow.
self-publishing, or how'd you do
I'm
that?
self-publishing. I did work with an illustrator to help me like get to the main part of the book.
Mm-hmm.
But I wrote everything myself. I came up with the ideas all by myself, and it has been on my bucket list to write a
So,
children's book.
if I'm understanding this
Wow.
correctly, it's a book you'll give to a kid to ask them to be the
Right,
flower
so there's
girl.
like a whole section in the beginning that's like a little poem, and it asks them to be the role, and then it does the
That's so
ABCs of
cute.
Very
weddings.
clever.
Because I feel like you
I'm
can
honestly
teach.
really pissed. That's such a great idea.
That is really
You're gonna make
cute.
like $1 billion on that. I guarantee.
I just feel like kids. I am in the same space that like typically kids aren't great at weddings because they don't understand weddings. It's not the place for them, or parents aren't parenting at a wedding. But if you can educate your child about things they're going to see at the wedding, things they can be excited for at the wedding, it makes them feel a little bit more included.
It's one of the smartest
So-
things I've heard
I'm
in a
so
long
upset
time.
right now. That's one of those like, why the fuck didn't I think of that? That's really good.
So for me, that's like been a bucket list thing, was to write a children's book. So that has been something I've been working on. The subscription.
When is that going live, roughly?
I'm hoping August. Basically, I'm in the final stages. I need to do a print approval, and then it will be ready to go.
Okay,
When
sweet.
you do that, please let us know, because I would be happy to let our clients know about that, because it's the cutest idea ever.
In
so.
fact, I think it'd be cool if we did a little segment about it on our podcast.
should buy a-
when we're
we
still
should
doing
buy
stuff
one.
You
like that.
guys some. I'll bring them up here.
Please.
I'm gonna come visit you guys.
How much
Cool.
is it
Definitely.
retail for?
I don't know yet. I have to see it in print if I want to do hard or soft cover, and that will dictate a lot.
God,
Yeah.
the hardcover.
I know.
Classy.
Especially for
expensive though,
kids.
probably.
But then I
Especially
think for kids, if they're like
They
taking
have
it to
to
the
be.
wedding, it could be soft, and they could take it like a coloring book. I'm
Mm.
kind of thinking that. I don't know. I have to see them in
Always
print.
got to be hard.
I know.
for kids, they like to bend and like rip things, so
Yeah.
usually hard's better for
Like-
the cover. Oh gosh,
thinking
I
about
just
one.
now noticed that.
About the restaurant, what happened
Yeah,
earlier?
I just was thinking about that because you
was
guys were
brutal.
laughing. But yes, the other thing that's big that's coming out is my subscription service. It's called Top Tier Wedding Planning. I've been working on it for a very long time, but it's basically going to be another avenue. I already offer planning courses and one-on-one consultations to help people that can't afford a full-service wedding planner. This is just a different avenue if people learn differently and like to absorb their information differently. It's another way that you can plan your wedding cost effectively.
Well, see, and I love that, because, you mentioned earlier, like, we catch a lot of heat when I say we, myself and my director of operations, John, because sometimes in the past, we've had butting head moments with planners, but it's not because we don't like planners. I mean, within talking to you for 5 minutes today, I knew that like you knew what the hell you were doing, and if you were at a wedding with us, it would run like this. But not everyone is a planner, and unfortunately, not every bride and groom can afford maybe that top flight planner. So giving people resources where you're still a professional and your knowledge and time should still be valued, but being able to give it to them in a way where they may not have to feel or shoulder that entire burden financially, I think is genius,
I do try to keep like everything that I offer and create, I do try to keep it cost effective, because the majority of weddings, like over 50% of weddings, cannot afford a wedding planner, which is so crazy to me. And I do not think it's fair for people to go into planning a wedding without having the proper information so that you can get through it without being super stressed or not understanding traditions or the flow.
So obviously,
with
like we
that.
want people to subscribe when this is ready, but like without getting too wordy, like, can you offer like a couple of like details as to what a bride could expect as part of that subscription? I think that'd be useful.
Yes, so the site is going to be obviously monthly to get access to everything, but there's a video vault that's going to have like over 5 hours of content. So you
Wow.
could type something in, and it might be like seating charts, and it's going to pop up a bunch of videos that are going to talk about, the do's and don'ts of seating charts. If you're DIYing a seating chart, what is an escort wall versus when do you need a place card, kind of all the details that you might get from someone that you're talking to in person. So that's what I call the video vault. Then there's going to be the template library, which is all of these templates that I've created, from signage,
Oh wow.
binder templates, planning sheets, budget sheets, anything that you could take that you might think is helpful in planning, you'll have access to that.
Now, do brides have to have any kind of like technical background? Are these like PSD files or just like Canva or like what are we
Some
talking?
of them are via Canva. I also have them as like PDF versions if you're someone that likes to print and then write out, because a lot of people are like that. Other people like virtual. There's a lot that are on Google Sheets. So that you can share them if you're working in like a group setting with planning. And then there's a full planning like step by step. It walks you through like if you were planning with me, what timeline and what process I would take you through.
Wow.
So you can kind of do it in sections. You might be somebody that's like, okay, I'm going to complete section 1 and 2 this month, and then I'm going to move on to section 3 and 4. But it basically walks you through the process if you were working with me, how I would guide you in planning your wedding. So
is it possible that on the top of that list you can add book, sound, precision, entertainment, and cufflink?
you'll be a sponsor.
Yeah. We'll do a sponsor post. No, I mean honestly, that's honestly super cool. Because you've seen other people out there trying to do this type of stuff, but I think to have somebody put it together in a professional way with like such a nice collection of things, I think is what's going to make that stand out from like maybe other people trying to do similar things as you. So
yeah. And there's 2 other like elements to this that I think are going to be really helpful for couples. Is I will host 2 1-hour calls each month.
okay.
So if you're in the subscription service, you'll get an invitation, and we'll focus on different things. So it might be a timeline discussion one week, and then maybe I'm going to be addressing frequently asked questions during another call. Okay. And then there will be a page where you can type in your questions. They could be specific, and I will answer them, and it will be posted to a board. So you might go in there and see like someone asked a specific question.
Is that going to be a public board or a private board?
It will be private to the group, but public so everybody can see it.
Cassie, you are a wedding savage.
Yeah, I can't
Like,
stop.
I am appalled at this woman right now.
I just like, to me, I feel that it's, if I have the knowledge, like, why do I gatekeep it? If someone wants me as their planner, they can 100% book me as their in-person planner, but
And I want to point out that this lady also works full time, correct?
yes.
So like this is all like in addition to just like slaying full-time weddings.
Yeah.
This is why some of my projects take so long, because I don't understand the scope until I'm really in it, and then I'm like, wow, something I thought was going to take me 3 months is really taking me 12 months.
But that just shows that you want the content that you put out to be good, because if you just rushed it out, then it wouldn't be good. So the fact that I would rather have something like we talk about this all the time, like when we do this podcast, people are like, holy shit, like you guys have more resources than people who've done it for years. Well, it's because if we're going to do it, we try to do it right. Not that we're any good at it, but we're trying.
We're pretty good at it.
It's one of those things.
I don't know. That's really it. That's what's in that.
What about your
That's
mobile?
it. That's all she's got.
Yeah, the
going
mobile
on.
bar.
So mobile bar this is our 5th year. I can't even, 4th year or 5th.
The name is Clink.
Yeah, so the name is Clink 92, and a lot of people are like, why? It's because clink like 2 glasses cheersing.
Clinking.
And then 92, the year I was born. I'm revealing my age.
I think that's a
30.
fair name.
Okay.
And then we
Mine
have,
would be Clink 84, sadly.
everybody's like, do you like Blink 92? Is that why you named it Clink 92? I'm like, no, but it is very cool. It's a 1975 horse trailer that we took and we refurbished it.
Cool.
We keep it very blank. We did build a tap wall this year because we had a lot of requests for like keg service, and we didn't want it to be like ugly.
Cool.
So it's a portable tap wall that can go in and out. But
Very
the
clever.
trailer itself
cool.
can serve as a full bar. We could be like, we've been a cookie table before. We've
Do you have to hold a liquor license to do that?
You don't. So it depends on state. In Pennsylvania, you cannot have a liquor license tied to a mobile vehicle. I didn't know that.
Now, let me ask you this. Are you in Pennsylvania able to physically provide the booze, or that's how it's in Ohio too? The couple needs to provide the
Yep.
booze, and it can be served in a mobile
So
unit.
we have liquor liability insurance and we have general liability insurance, but the couple provides the actual alcoholic product. And then they could provide cups, ice, in the mixers too, or some couples go through us and they get custom cups, ice. So every couple's different. We have couples that will like book us to be popcorn and champagne. We have couples that will do specialty lemonade bars, and we're like doing tequila lemonades and strawberry lemonades. So
Okay.
we're very flexible, and we travel. We have done like a couple weddings in Ohio, but we mainly do Pittsburgh area. It's a hefty girl to drag. She's about 2,000 pounds.
So the word cookie piqued my interest, and I can tell you that Nick and myself are humongous fans of whatever this Pittsburgh cookie thing you guys got going on. because
Pittsburgh cookie table.
when we have
It's
the
the best.
tables, but one thing I don't know other than they're delicious is, can you explain to the Ohio viewer what it's all about? Why do we do these cookie tables?
Yes, I am a cookie table fanatic. I literally love it. I'm an enthusiast when it comes to the cookie table.
I'm a cookie freak.
Say less.
So I asked actually our historians at work once, like, what was the history about the cookie table? And there wasn't like a lot actually written. So it's kind of, you'll see a debate online. People are like, oh, it came from Youngstown, it came from Pittsburgh. But generally it's from this area, like
Right.
Northeast Ohio.
Rust
Pittsburgh,
Belt.
yeah, so it's in that area. Basically back in like the Great Depression era, they would invite all of their family members and friends to celebrate, but they couldn't afford to feed everybody like a big dessert or a wedding cake. So friends and family would cook little desserts, baked desserts, and put them out on the cookie table, and then people would come celebrate and eat the cookie table as like part of the celebration.
Awesome.
That tradition just continued, and the thing I love about it most is they're like old family recipes. A lot of them are like classic recipes. They're made by all of the people you love the most, which I think is just like such a special touch. And at least in Pittsburgh, I don't know in Ohio, like in Youngstown, but people take it seriously. When I tell you, I've had like weddings that have a dozen cookies per person, and it's a 300-person wedding. Like
Wow.
thousands of cookies.
Wow.
And then the other thing that's really cool
My
about
kind of
it,
people.
If anybody wants to drop off some Buckeyes,
Buckeyes are my favorite.
I love fucking Buckeyes.
Buckeyes and then Lady Locks are like
I like
second.
those 7-layer with like all the stuff in them.
Coconut is in there.
I love coconut.
Just like,
Just kidding. I
you
don't
single ladies, remember?
Listen, coconut is a standard enjoyable item.
Coconut
okay?
is really
Those are
good.
popular,
It's
those
really
are
good.
popular. But the other cool thing about the cookie table is obviously it serves as dessert. So a lot of people in Pittsburgh, they'll do a wedding cake, but they don't do wedding cake for every guest. And they might serve a couple slices that people could grab on the cookie table. But the main dessert is the cookie table. And it also serves as a favor. So a lot of people get custom bags or boxes, and people can pack that up and take it with them. So it's like a 3-for-1.
How about that?
I'm a fan.
Just ending on, you had me a cookie fanatic. You really did. You're like, I'm a cookie table fanatic. Well, listen, one more time, I want to thank you again for making the trip in all the way from Pittsburgh. You are a very, very impressive person. Both, it sounds like having 2 kiddos, you're writing books, you're slinging drinks, you're doing it all. And we are now fans of yours. So thank you so much. To our people, please like, subscribe, follow. Number 1, us, because she has enough. But no, all kidding aside, make sure you hit up Wedding Pro Cass on all those things. Anything else, Nicholas?
I think she's an absolute pioneer in the wedding game. I mean, the children's book absolutely blew my mind. It's never been done, at least to my knowledge. And I hope that we're still friends when I get married, because you are going to plan my wedding, hopefully, if you accept.
Julia?
I think it's great having you on. You definitely shared a lot of really good knowledge out there, things that I've never known or considered, especially coming from a planner, because a lot of planners on our end that we've like talked to is like, I don't really talk to them much, or they're not there a lot. So I think this is really great.
Well, thank
Love
you
having
guys.
you on.
Thank you guys for having me on. It's been awesome, and I appreciate your guys' perspective and just collaborating and having open discussion. So
So fun.
So in short, you're a gangster. Let's keep it rolling here.
All right, thank you guys so much. What are we doing here, Nick? It's just a wedding. Out. Oh!
One sheeter. Damn it.
I know this one. It's just a wedding podcast.